Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. When I was 4 years old, my parents divorced because my dad cheated on my mom. It was a brutal, messy breakup. Lots of fights, yelling, and court visits I was too young to understand. Eventually, it ended. My mom tried to move forward. My dad? He married the woman he cheated with. We'll call her E to respect her privacy, though part of me wants to call her something far less polite. At first, it wasn't terrible. My sister and I gained a stepbrother and two stepsisters. We actually got along with them, and for a while, things felt somewhat okay. My dad seemed happy. E played the part of the new mom well enough. But things started shifting just a couple of years later. E changed. So did my dad. Suddenly, we weren't allowed over as often. My dad had work whenever our visits were scheduled, even though we later found out he wasn't working at all. My sister and I weren't allowed to eat at the dinner table with the rest of the family. At 7 years old, I didn't understand why. I just knew we weren't wanted. My dad became distant, like really distant. He stopped wishing me happy birthday, missed school plays, forgot to show up when I learned to ride a bike. He was slowly disappearing from my life while living a whole new one with E and her kids. By the time I was 9, visits were down to 4 days a month, and even then, me and my sister weren't allowed to sleep in the same room. My sister and I were treated like guests more than daughters. I vividly remember that during one weekend we had there, I had accidentally broken a glass, and E had turned furious. She looked at me and said calmly, "Go upstairs and wait." I did what I was told. She came up a few minutes later and told me to sit on the floor. Then she locked the door behind her. She didn't yell. She didn't hit me. Instead, she made me sit there for 3 hours in silence. No lights, no food, nothing to do. Every time I tried to ask why, she just told me, "This is what happens to little girls who break things they don't belong around." When I started crying, she sat across the room and just watched. She didn't comfort me. She didn't explain. She just watched me cry until I wore myself out. Then she stood up, opened the door, and said, "You're lucky I didn't tell your father." That night at dinner, I was told I'd already eaten, even though I hadn't. I sat in my room while everyone else laughed and passed plates around. She said I could have more next time if I remembered how to behave. I didn't even question it. I just accepted it. Because when you're a kid and you want so badly to be accepted by your parent, you convince yourself that maybe you deserve it. My dad? He was home that night. He didn't say a word. My sister had her own moment not long after. She got into an argument with E. I don't even remember what about. E dragged her downstairs and locked her in the basement. No lights, no windows. She kept her down there for over 2 hours. We didn't tell our mom right away because he was our dad. And we thought maybe if we just waited it out, things would get better. But they didn't. Eventually, we told her everything. She wanted to report them, but she was scared. My dad had threatened her in the past. She knew what he was capable of. So she focused on protecting us the only way she knew how. We stopped visiting. We cut contact completely. Skip forward 5 years. I was 14, just started high school. Guess who went to the same school? My two stepsisters. All the memories came back, every minute locked in that room, every ignored birthday, every insult whispered under E's breath. And to top it off, my former stepsisters had grown into full-blown bullies. They were popular, loud, and cruel. Everyone hated them behind their backs, but no one dared say it to their faces. That's when I made a choice. Me and a couple of friends decided to do something. I wish I could say it was noble or justified, but honestly, it was revenge. We slipped small bags of W into their backpacks. The school freaked out. They called home. Police were involved. A full search happened, and their family imploded. My dad and E got into a massive fight and ended up divorcing. Not long after, E hit financial rock bottom. My dad became a full-on alcoholic. 2 weeks ago, he was arrested for assault. E has allegedly started working as an S worker just to survive. My former siblings? Removed from the house and placed into protective custody. And I caused it all. It was my idea, my plan. They hadn't done anything directly to me in years, but I wanted to destroy them, and I did. Here's the worst part. I don't feel bad. I should, right? But I don't. My sister still struggles with her eating disorder from the years of verbal aggression. She's been hospitalized twice. So no, I don't feel sorry for E, or for what happened to my dad, or to my stepsisters. I wish I could say I was a better person, that I regret it, but I don't. My sister and I are doing better now. We're in therapy. We're trying to heal. We thought about a lawsuit, but since we were minors during everything that happened, most legal advisors said it wouldn't go far, that it was better to move on. So we're trying. But sometimes, late at night, I still wonder, if I did something so destructive and I don't feel guilty, does that make me a monster? Or does it just make me human? I'm sorry, but I chuckled when OP said E had conservative Christian beliefs. She's a hypocrite because she was not only either divorced or never married to her children's fathers. Divorce is a sin. She also fornicated with OP's father, a sin, and helped him to commit adultery, a huge sin. It's the only sin that allows for divorce in the Bible. What a hypocritical person. I'm so sorry that all this happened to OP and her sister. And OP didn't sabotage her father's marriage. He and his wife did that to their own marriage because they're horrible people. And now let's hear the community's opinion. I feel bad for the steps, though. Most kids who are bullies are being taken advantage of at home, and judging from OP's interaction with E, I definitely see that as a possibility. Was OP wrong for breaking up the marriage? No. They both deserve misery. Was OP wrong for framing some kids who were likely taken advantage of as well? Kind of. It seems like they were already heading down a bad road, and anything could set them off. I mean, finding W in their bags isn't the end of the world, surely. They both sound like awful humans. You're not a monster. You're a survivor. What happened to you and your sister was aggression, plain and simple. The way E manipulated, isolated, and emotionally tormented you. That leaves scars most people never see. And your dad letting it happen? That's a betrayal that hits deeper than anything else. You were a child. You weren't out for revenge. You were desperate for justice in a system that failed you. And honestly, the people who destroyed your childhood finally faced consequences. The fact that you're even questioning your morality just proves you're not a monster. You're human, and I hope you and your sister continue healing and living a life where no one ever makes you feel like you're clutter again. My mother-in-law is truly awful. She constantly makes remarks about me not deserving my fiancé. We're sort of a modern couple, with him bringing in 70% of the money and doing about 30% of the household chores, and me vice versa. It's not an exact math, of course, but we're content with the workload and bill division. My mother-in-law thinks that I should do all the chores and calls my job a small part-time gig that I should be happy to do to help out without neglecting my duties. Fiancé disagrees, but going low contact is difficult when his father is so close, and his sister-in-law, brother's wife, and I have gotten close. So my fiancé, his brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and I schemed to have me break up with him in front of his mom and just leave a wake of disastrous consequences to show her. When she next made a remark at New Year's about it being time for him to find a traditional wife, I said she was right and broke it off. She was shocked immediately and tried to walk it back. My fiancé had a meltdown, begging me to stay, while my brother-in-law and his wife instigated by asking my mother-in-law if she was R. They didn't tell me about this part, but it was funny because she doesn't seem to be R in any real way. She started to panic as I stormed out, and my fiancé moved back home and has been bugging her to do all the things I do on the daily. Cooking and helping him with his New York time puzzles, and steaming his clothes, and claiming she owes him for making me leave. So this woman has been calling me nonstop, begging to talk. And after just 8 days, she showed up at my work to full-on apologize, complete with a confession that blew me away. She legit admitted to thinking that I loved him enough to let her say whatever without consequence, and assumed that bugging me would get me to do more for her son, so he could have more time for her and time to relax. He currently works long hours, as owning a home is a goal for us, and though I also work doubles, she thinks that customer service isn't as hard as IT, even though working with the public is super exhausting. She cried and begged me to take him back, and said he was lazy. When I reluctantly agreed, she promised to leave me alone, and the next day sent me a gift basket with C's candy in it. My fiancé admitted he started to be extra needy to her on purpose after the second day because he missed me and wanted to drive her crazy enough to get her to apologize quick. She thought OP's love meant she could be disrespectful without consequence? Oh, she learned today. This was a chef's kiss level of petty brilliance. OP didn't just flip the script. She burned it, handed mother-in-law a new one, and made her beg to read her lines properly this time. The fiancé pretending to be helpless just so mother-in-law would get a taste of what OP actually does on a daily basis. Iconic. He basically handed her the full-time man-child experience and said good luck. And the fact that mother-in-law spiraled so hard, she confessed her entire manipulative plan like a cartoon villain? That's top-tier karma. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Oh my God! If this is real, you could not have handled it any better. Cheers to you, your fiancé, and the other family that helped you carry this out. This was perfect. I'm an old boomer, and I totally approve this message. Your tactic worked perfectly, and your co-conspirators all played their parts well. I bet that old witch will stay in her lane now. I just hope she never finds out, but who cares about her if she does? Good luck and great job. I love this so much. Some mothers have a hard time letting go, but it's a lesson we all have to learn. First as young adults, then as parents ourselves. You helped her grow while strengthening your relationship. My mother-in-law chewed me out on the phone for not being more sympathetic towards my sister-in-law after she experienced her 6th miscarriage. We have expressed condolences after each and every miscarriage, but apparently I didn't sound sorry enough this time around. I reminded mother-in-law that my sister-in-law has a beautiful daughter and said to mother-in-law, not my sister-in-law, something along the lines of, perhaps she should spend more time with what she already has, instead of spending so much time grieving for what might have been. Needless to say, it didn't go over well. They are both aware that we, my husband and I, ourselves have fertility issues. I'm flat out infertile, and they have often pestered us about it, often asking, when are you going to adopt? Or, why haven't you tried IVF yet? My husband wants me to call my sister-in-law again, which I'm okay with, and to call back and apologize to my mother-in-law. That I'm not so cool about. Am I the a-hole for balking about apologizing to my mother-in-law? Everyone sucks here. Mother-in-law for grading your amount of sorry, and you for discounting your sister-in-law's struggles by saying she should just be grateful to have one kid. Your struggles with fertility didn't give you the right to be callous, nor should your in-laws pester you about your own fertility. Not the a-hole. Your husband needs to grow a shiny spine and stand up for you to his mother and sister. This would be unacceptable behavior, even if you didn't have fertility issues. As it is, it's entirely dreadful. Talk to your husband and explain, calmly, that you are not going to be policed like this, especially by people who do not show to you the same respect they demand. Good luck. Edit. Yes, I understand the quote was rude, but it was said to the mother-in-law, not the sister-in-law. Furthermore, mother-in-law has in the past made sister-in-law's miscarriages all about her. She is determined to get as many grandbabies as possible out of all of her kids, 2 sons and a daughter. She is so determined that once she found out I was infertile, she demanded we take 2 sets of family photos at every family get-together, because she is determined her son will divorce me for a woman that can give her more grandbabies, and she does not want my image to tarnish the family photos after this fantasy divorce occurs. She has chased off several of my brother-in-law's girlfriends in the past because they weren't interested in having more than 1, if any, babies. Mother-in-law essentially threw the tantrum because I didn't include her in my condolences. The quote was my roundabout way of telling mother-in-law, maybe you should pay more attention to the grandbaby you have, rather than digging for more grandkids and cheapening sister-in-law's loss by making it all about you. Your mother-in-law takes a set of family photos without you for your impending future divorce, and your husband allows this? Seriously, I'd be so beyond pissed at my husband for not sticking up for me with his mother and degrading you and making you out to be a baby-making machine and assuming your husband will divorce you because you don't pump out babies for him. I, 34 female, have been with my fiancé, 35 male, for 7 years, and when we started dating he actually was struggling professionally. But I saw how sincerely hard he was working at growing his business, and I really admired that about him. 5 years ago, he wanted to propose to me, and even said that he would cash out his business and get settled in an investment banking job instead, so that he can be a good husband sooner. I was shocked and refused, and said that his dreams are my dreams, and his profession has nothing to do with him being a good husband. At that time, I was making more money and was professionally more successful than him, and I told him that I earn enough for both of us, so there is no need for him to ever settle. 2 years later, he proposed to me with a beautiful diamond ring, and I said yes. I always had faith in his dream and knew that he is brilliant and would make it big, and it was just a matter of when. In 2018, he got a Service Quality Award in our country, grew his company to 44 people globally, and last year, they made over £16 million. I was just as proud of him then as I am today. So now we are getting married in 6 months, and I asked him for a bigger diamond ring, and he got the first ring embedded in this new big ring and gave it to me the night before my birthday last week. However, at my birthday party, I was showing the new ring to my sisters, and my cousin got up to give an emotional speech to me and my fiancé and how much we have achieved together. Everyone was almost in tears, and I was thinking about our struggles of last 7 years. But a mutual friend of ours also got up and decided to add to the toast and said about me, "Before you, she only ever got attracted to successful men. She will keep asking you for bigger diamonds with each million that you make." We all laughed, and he replied with, "All my millions are for her." And she said, "She is a much better investor than you are. She caught you in your potential phase. Now look at her returns." I didn't say anything because there were many people there who don't know our history like our close friends, all of whom were quite shocked at such comments. We all fake laughed again, but after a few hours, as she was leaving, I took her to the side and told her that she isn't invited to my wedding anymore, because I don't appreciate the cheap shots. She told me I am overreacting and being arrogant, and it would be an a-hole thing to do over such a small joke. But for me, it wasn't a small joke. For 7 years, he and I fought hard for survival, and somehow I still get flashbacks of our struggles. I didn't want to be an a-hole, that's why I uninvited her in private when almost everyone had left. So, would I be the a-hole if I uninvited her? Additional information. I never complained about the first ring. He always complained that the first ring was small, and he would get me another one when he made it. But I never asked in the last 4 years of us being engaged. Now, he made me choose one, and I've been putting it off for years. And now since the wedding is only 6 months away, so I finally asked for it, and got my first ring embedded in it, cause I love it more than any jewelry that he has gotten me. Not the a-hole. Your partner tried tactfully standing up for you. She must have known by that point that she was damaging or ending your friendship, and yet your former friend chose to escalate things further. There's no reason to have someone like that at your wedding. If those remarks were made while sitting on a patio, sipping wine after a private meal, then they would be jokes. They were made in public at your birthday party, and they were made to hurt you because she is jealous. This person is not a friend. Good on you for making it clear she's no longer welcome in your life. Not the a-hole. This joke was crappy and misogynistic. She's clearly jealous as hell. The idea that you are with your fiancé for his money is insulting to both of you. I can't see why you would want someone like that at your wedding or in your life. Also, it's fine OP upgraded her ring. They can easily afford it. I don't think anyone would be saying anything if her fiancé bought a sports car to celebrate his success. So let's lay off the gross stereotypes. My brother-in-law is a super popular guy in our family. I think this is partly because he's very charming, and he's a doctor. We didn't have doctors in our extended family before him. But he is also an angry and arrogant person. He's been married to my sister for 3 years. My sister and I are close. She's 10 years older than me, and she's done so much for me ever since I was born. In recent years, since I've grown up, I'm trying to be a good brother for her as well. We talk a lot, and she told me in recent months that she and brother-in-law are not doing well. I have found her crying a few times from their fights. He hadn't been violent with her before this incident that I'm about to explain. This weekend, everyone was at our parents' place, and I don't know why, but I saw he took my sister to the other room, out of view of others. I was alarmed since I knew they'd been fighting, and he looked angry. I followed them and kind of just stayed by the door listening. My intention was not to spy on them. I thought that if I saw things got heated, I'll walk in and ask them to join us back for some beers while playing dumb. It got heated, and he was getting angrier and angrier, until I couldn't resist and went in. I saw him raising his hand on my sister, so I ran between them and told him to back off. He shouted at me, and everyone came, and he started saying I walked in on their private conversation, and I said he was going to hit my sister, which he claims he wasn't going to. But my sister was defending me because she was afraid. He then took off. I was instantly blamed for making this situation, and everyone said he wasn't going to hit her because he's just not that kind of person, even though my sister thinks he was going to hit her. My parents gave me and my sister hell that night. That night, we sent some horrible texts. It's been 2 days, and it's the same with my family. My sister told them that she's thinking about divorce, and now I'm being treated as if I caused their divorce. The only thing that's constantly in my head is, what the duck? Now they're threatening to kick me out if I don't make it right between them. Obviously, that's not even up to me, and I don't, and I can't do anything about it. They think I should go and apologize to brother-in-law in person for interfering in their marriage. I don't want to do that at all. What the hell do I do now? How can I knock some sense into everyone in my family? It's disheartening that your family don't take their own daughter's side in a situation like that, or blame their son for wanting to keep his sister safe. You should keep all your documents with you and put them somewhere safe. Also, maybe ask your sister if you can stay with her for a while. I suspect she would love the company anyway, since her crazy husband might still cause her problems and she's going to feel safer if you're around. First off, you're a great brother, really. That required courage. After all of this, I'm not sure you can salvage a relationship with your parents. Your parents might come around with some time, but I'm not sure you nor your sister should ever forgive them for taking the side of an A over their own children. Your family sounds toxic and sick, all dazzled by the doctor labels so much that they are willing to sacrifice you and your sister's well-being just to keep the doctor close. I'm divorced and have joint custody with my wife, alternating every week. My ex-wife remarried a little over a year ago to a man with a son the same age, 12. My son and him don't seem to be crazy about each other, but seem civil for the most part. Their school is doing a new term in the new year for their class's student council rep. Currently, my son's stepbrother is the rep, and he is running again. My son decided he wanted to run against him. My ex told him he can't, saying it was inappropriate since he never showed an interest in something like this before, and thinks he's just trying to be petty against his stepbrother, and said they're family, so he should support him. When he was at my house, he asked me if he could run, since he only needs one parent's permission. While I acknowledge he might be doing it to be petty, I'm thrilled that he's taken an interest in a leadership activity, so I'm okay with it. So I signed the permission slip. My ex now thinks I'm trying to sabotage her new blended family and being an a-hole. We have even custody, so there's nothing she can actually do, but she keeps telling me I'm just doing this to make her mad. That's not the case. I'm just glad my son is trying to get involved, so the ends justify the means. My sister, however, is on my wife's side and says I'm being petty. Edit, update. People are acting like my son's the cool jock, and the stepbro is a nerd he's going to easily beat. The stepbro won once, so he has friends. There's no guarantee my son will win. It just doesn't feel fair to not let him even try. He says it's not just about beating the stepbro, but he wants to try new ways to get involved. I've been encouraging that for a while, so now that he's found something he wants to do, I feel inclined to support him. Not the a-hole. Okay, so your son has never shown interest in student council before. Okay. Could it be that now that his stepbrother has talked about it, and what he's working on, and the benefits, leadership skills, looks nice on a college application, get to meet new people, he should be allowed to run, and not have his parents assume he's doing it maliciously? Not the a-hole. If the school didn't want leadership change over the course of the year, they wouldn't have midterm elections. If it was the kid down the street, your ex wouldn't create a problem. She's the a-hole for damping down your son's aspirations just because family. Just make sure that your kid is prepared to do the job if elected. We just did 4 years of someone who ran on a petty run. Hey, social studies lesson. And sign the paper if he's cool with it. Also, make sure your kid is prepared to be a gracious winner or loser, and make it clear to your ex that you expect the same out of stepbro. Because that is the time to play the family card. My ex, 30 female, and I, 30 male, started dating when we were both 16. She was my first girlfriend. At that time, we were both pretty awkward, weird, and kept to a small circle of friends. The relationship was great, lasted well after high school and even during college. We moved in together after college, and I got a part-time job at a factory while continuing to develop a side business with my best friend. My ex's estranged father decided to reach out and wanted to get to know his daughter better. He was out in California and worked with some big names in the entertainment industry. She started flying out to California regularly to spend time with him. I flew out once with her to meet him and did not like him. He is one of those guys who is bluntly rude and tries to half-heartedly disguise it in a witty, sarcastic, and semi-humorous way. Very arrogant and full of himself, always dropping names of successful people he did business with. My ex became obsessed with her appearance and image. Her father took her to fancy dinners, bought her a new BMW SUV, and fancy handbags. He paid for her to have all this cosmetic surgery, although towards the end I saw it coming, but I was still very heartbroken when she ended things. Said we were just too different. She moved out to California, started dating the typical SoCal douchebags with tanned skin and overly toned abs. I ended up completely blocking her from my life and moved on after a year of being miserable and creeping her social media. At that time, I was going nowhere. Had debt, beat her car, and a dead-end job. As time moved, the business my buddy and I had started growing. I quit my dead-end job and started focusing on my business full-time. I invested extra cash in RE. Property in the Toronto area started booming. My business was turning a good profit. As my business grew and my rentals were churning income, I hired a bit of extra help. Took time to travel, took courses, learned a new language, got into rock climbing and mountain climbing, made cool friends along the way. Forgot about my ex. Well, recently my ex hits me up. She is back in town. Things didn't work out so well for her out west. Her dad got into trouble with the law and owes money for years of unpaid taxes and fraud. Her trust fund douchebag boyfriend was mean, and when they broke up, he spread all these lies about her, isolating her from everyone. We met for coffee a few weeks ago and just talked. She asked a few times about my business, trying to pick my brain. I'm pretty low-key about my money and still live frugally. She texts me and hints about getting back together. During our coffee meetup, I felt nothing for her after all these years. Her face looked stiff and her smile off-putting, with all that filter and Botox. I'm pretty sure she only wants to get back together now that I'm doing well. When she broke up with me, she said we are going in different directions. Didn't realize how right she was. She wants to meet again. How can I tell her I don't want her in my life without sounding too harsh? I'd be petty and say that you have both been going different directions for a decade and are now too far apart. Keep it simple. It was nice seeing you again. I wish you the best in life. Then do not respond often or quickly if she does not understand. Take a day or two to respond and with one-word answers. You don't have to tell her you don't want her in your life. You don't owe her crap. Just stop texting her and move on. She only wants you in her life to pay for her things. This is a huge red flag. These girls don't want you. They want your money. Avoid them.